The Bolt of Gransax is ridiculous. It is a legendary armament that gives your player character an ancient lightning-powered sniper rifle. The sniper comparison is true in both the power of the weapon and the range it covers. If you haven't gone out of your way to make a high-damage, single-hit build before, this will likely be the strongest hitting build you've used yet. Getting the Bolt of Gransax is time-sensitive. From the Grace where you fight Goldfree, head out the side of the arena and take the elevator down. Head past the two perfumers, and jump over the railing onto the massive golden spear stuck in the wall. The weapon will be sitting right on top of it. Be sure to get this weapon before defeating Malekith, because it will become inaccessible after the fight. When I first picked up this weapon years ago for the Platinum Trophy, I thought it was a great spear. It took me much longer than I would like to admit to realize that it was a normal spear instead. Our light attacks are quick thrusts, just like with a short spear. The heavy attacks are slower piercing attacks with great reach. The moveset is wonderful, but we know none of you are here to talk about the moveset. Ancient Lightning Spear is death from a distance. Press the Ash of War button and your character will surge up off the ground and imbue the spear with red Ancient Dragon Lightning. A moment later, you'll launch the spear at whatever you're looking at. The speed the lightning travels at is among the fastest projectiles in the game. Some enemies that try to slide out of the way of normal projectiles are simply not fast enough to escape the insane speed of this Ash of War. Hold down the Ash of War button a little longer, and you can charge the move for even more damage and time in the air. The slower speed of the charged Ash of War does not matter in many fights, as you'll do so much damage, the threat will likely be neutralized on impact. The spells we have revolve around the use of Ancient Lightning Spear. Golden Vow gives us a 15% damage boost. That boost is stackable with a 25% boost we get from the Howl of Shabriri. The defense boost we get from Golden Vow does not come close to canceling out the damage negation penalty we get from the Howl. Once again, the speed you take out most enemies with means damage negation won't matter as much as usual. At the start of our fights, we use the Flask, then Golden Vow, and then the Howl of Shabriri. Fully charge a couple of Ashes of War at a distance, and many of your fights will end with that. This playthrough was on Max New Game Plus, so the bosses had much more health than on New Game or NG Plus. In longer fights, or when you don't have time to use the Ash of War consistently, we can rely more on the weapon's moveset or uncharged Ashes of War. No matter what I chose, these were some of the fastest boss kills when compared to all of my other runs. Be sure to let me know if you've used the Bolt of Gransax before. I imagine if you have, you had a very similar playstyle to me. For builds with weapons that are both over the top like the Bolt of Gransax, or simple like the Halberd last week, be sure to stay tuned and subscribe for a new build video every week. For our talismans, we have the Shard of Alexander, for 15% more damage with the Ash of War, the Godfrey Icon, for more power when we fully charge the Ash of War, the Lightning Scorpion Charm, for 12% more lightning damage, and the Dragon Crest Great Shield, so we aren't one-tapped in the Ash of War animation. We can boost the power of the Ash of War even further by wearing Rakshasa's armor set. This build can get substantially more ridiculous if we do things like equip the Lord of Blood's Exaltation and use the White Mask, and use a weapon with Seppuku before switching to the Bolt of Gransax. I avoided going too far out there with things like this. The only change I made in some of the fights where it was hard to land a fully charged Ash of War is I swapped the Lightning Scorpion Charm for the two-handed Sword Talisman, and I only used the Flask and Golden Vow for a buff. For tiers, I used the Lightning Shroud and Crack tier for 20% more lightning damage, and either the Bloodsucking Crack tier or the Open Line Hard tier. My choice between the two depended on how fast I could finish the fight. For our stats at RL170, I had 60 Vigor, 18 Mind, 28 Endurance, 14 Strength to two-hand and meet the weapon requirements, 80 Dexterity, since this is where the weapon scales best, and 33 Faith to use our incantations. I knew this weapon would be good when I picked it up for the Platinum Trophy nearly 3 years ago. 164 game completions later, along with a full DLC of new gear to enhance it, the Bolt of Gransax did not disappoint.